Hi, I'm Anatole, and this is my review of Good Omens, Season 1, Episode 5, titled The Doomsday Option, and it scored 8.6 on IMDb. Plot summary, courtesy of Amazon Prime. Aziraphale and Crowley race towards Tadfield Air Base as they attempt to prevent Adam and the Four Horsemen from beginning the apocalypse. But one has been discorporated and the other is trapped in a flaming motorway. Will they get there in time? That motorway being the M50. And there's a nice flashback where we see where Crowley was responsible for the creation of the M50. That it sort of became a nightmare that created a haze of bad karma around London, which was a typical Crowley scheme. And one thing I wanted to comment upon this episode, I've been reading the book and I'm now caught up. So where this episode is, I'm parallel in the book. And I may have mentioned before, I've been reading the two, and that I like the TV show actually more than the book, which is that rare exception where the adaptation is better than the book, mainly because of the way that they edit. They've retained the funniest lines from the book, made them funnier with really good actors, and then taken out the unnecessary lines, and they've tightened up the theme, made everything stronger. But in this section, the other sections have been pretty close, just a few edits. This section had the most editing, with some characters completely missing. There has been some added little scenes I really like. The scene between Crowley and Aziraphale in the bar, where the discorporated spirit of Aziraphale comes to visit Crowley and Crowley's smashed out of his head. That is not in the book, and it's such a great moment between those two characters, where Aziraphale says, "What's wrong?" and Crowley says, "Well, I've lost a good friend today." So that moment of humanity, quote unquote, from a demon, and I think it's intended humanity, is not in the book, and it brings so much to those characters. This episode, the things that they added were better, even small touches. The things they took out made it play faster, and the things that they had already strengthened before now don't seem so arbitrary. So this notion that Adam can fight the demon in him because he was raised as just an ordinary average boy, we already began to see that theme in episode 2, I believe, if not 2 then 3, when he first meets Anathema Device. And I mentioned how that was also changed a little bit, where they meet her earlier in the TV show than they do in the book. But you can see in that the way that they're just acting, they're acting through their impulses. Adam is to find witches. It all becomes farce because he's just an ordinary boy. And so because he's an ordinary boy, the things that are demonic have been turned into, at that point in the story, had just been turned into harmless play. And so we see here in this episode, he's able to fight that inner nature because he has been raised by love. It's something that Anathema Device, I think it's Aziraphale, says when they come into the town. It's Tadfield Air Base. I can't remember if the town is Tadfield. I think it is Tadfield. He says he feels indescribable love in this town, and so the recipient of that love was Adam. And another thing that was stronger in the TV show is the emotion of the scene where Adam fights it back, and because he feels remorse when his friends leave him, and because he's not purely demonic, he's able to let them go in the hopes that they are still his friends, and when they leave, that breaks down the wall between his human side and his demon side. And that's something that's in the book, but it happens very quickly, and it doesn't have the force that it has in the TV show. So I really like the way that they've adapted this for the screen, and I don't know if I will have time before I review episode 6, but I noticed on Audible that there was I don't know if it was a radio adaptation. I think it was a radio adaptation around the same runtime as the TV series, about 6 hours. I was thinking of listening to that, and that way I could tell even more the evolution of these changes from bringing the book to the TV screen, because that would have been the first step in doing that, adapting it to radio. And I wonder how close the radio and the TV versions are. If they're very close but still more differences, or if the radio is more faithful to the book than the TV show is. I'm curious just how much the changing of the work began with that radio production that was done. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But it feels significant, like that was the first step in finding those changes in the material that for me have strengthened it. So I would be curious to find out firsthand what was done. Anyway, that's what I got for this episode. I'm very excited to get to the end, so I hope you will join me when I review episode 6 next time. Until then, take care and be well. Goodbye.